Chapter 2213, Jiu vs. Miter. Miter's power was countered, and the colossal storm vortex shattered instantly. She narrowed her eyes toward the distance, paying no heed to the human coalition forces. For at that moment, she witnessed a human girl descending slowly from the heavens. Long black hair cascaded down her back. Her gaze was as still as stagnant water, utterly devoid of emotion. As she swept her eyes over the shattered corpses littering the ground, her expression was as cold as ice. Yet, the moment she looked at Miter, her eyes suddenly blazed with intense heat. "Is this the fine food my big brother told me about?" Jiangnan region, Blizzard City's ultimate warrior, Nuba, Zhuyu, enters the fray. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin had calculated everything, and naturally, they hadn't forgotten Zhuyu's existence. Her abilities were the best choice for dealing with the war goddess Miter. An extraordinary being capable of controlling the weather possessed unimaginable destructive power on the battlefield. She could single-handedly hold back the entire human alliance for a long time, so she had to be dealt with quickly. Whoosh, without a moment's hesitation, Zhu transformed into a jet-black streak of light, darting toward Miter like a bolt of lightning. She paid no heed to the others, her sole focus now was to savor a truly satisfying feast. The origin of a black chariot-level silver armor general was the finest sustenance, the very nourishment she craved most. A massive black spear materialized in her hand. Moving at breakneck speed, she closed the distance to Miter in an instant. Then, she thrust the spear directly at Miter's heart. Miter made no attempt to dodge. As a release department ability user, she was not adept at close combat. Besides, there was no need to evade an attack of this caliber. Whoosh, the moment Zhu closed within 10 meters of Miter, a colossal gust erupted from her body, forming an invisible wind barrier that surged forward. The gale slammed into Zhu, the pressure contorting her face as her forward momentum was instantly halted. Her approach had been swift, but her ejection was even faster, propelled like a bullet back toward her point of origin. "You dare challenge me? Looks like you're seeking death." Miter glanced at the black, psychic-powered spear in Zhu's grasp, analyzing her combat style. Her assessment was swift. Primarily an enhancement type, supplemented by psychic manifestation abilities. But that storm just now. Could she control the wind? Then, we simply need to prevent her from closing in for melee combat. Miter raised her right hand, waving it lightly like an orchestra conductor. "In the name of the storm." The words had barely left her lips when violent ripples erupted around her, as if stirred by a colossal god wielding a giant fan. Instantly, over a dozen massive tornadoes coalesced. "Go! Annihilate her!" Miter commanded. The gale surged in the direction of her finger, hurtling straight toward Zhu. Though Zhu was struck by the impact, this wind barrier lacked significant lethal force, it served more as a defensive measure, incapable of harming her body. Zhu's physique belonged to the enhancement type. Her body was incredibly resilient, and her self-healing abilities were as formidable as a specter. Seeing Miter unleash her power again, a faint smile curved her lips. She flipped the black spear in her hand and hurled it toward the tornadoes. Originally less than 2 meters long, the spear continuously expanded during its flight. Upon reaching the heart of the tornado array, it exploded with a thunderous boom. Roar, as if a colossal primordial beast had roared, the erupting dark energy transformed into a chaotic storm, directly disrupting the tornado's rotation. Meteorological abilities primarily leverage one's own power to influence natural forces. Thus, Miter did not create the tornado through her own power, but rather engineered the conditions for a storm to form, thereby inducing its creation. A distinct difference exists between the two approaches. The former possesses greater destructive power, while the latter is more natural to execute and incurs minimal energy expenditure. It was precisely this method that allowed Zhu to effortlessly shatter the colossal tornado. Miter observed this without a flicker of emotion. With a wave of her hand, the storm roared once more. She summoned the wind, commanding it to coalesce, swirl, and brim with destructive force. Rumble! From the azure heavens, sharp spirals crystallized within the dark clouds, spiraling downward toward the earth. The instant the black tempest touched the earth, it erupted into hundreds of colossal tornadoes. No soldiers could remain near the battlefield's perimeter. Even the Wulwan Empire troops standing slightly too close were instantly swallowed by the whirlwinds. Neither side's soldiers dared to approach this zone. Even the mechanical lifeforms swiftly retreated, clearing a vast battlefield for the two combatants. I'm quite curious to see how long your abilities can withstand my power. Miter's tone was icy cold. On this battlefield, especially within the Wulwan Empire's home turf, her abilities held an unparalleled advantage. That advantage was her unparalleled knowledge of the local climate, allowing her to summon any celestial phenomenon at will. Simply by utilizing the wind barrier's flexible, rebound-like properties, she could deny her opponent any chance for a close-range assassination. Thus, she could continue this game indefinitely. Rumble. Hundreds of tornadoes surged toward Zhiyu like a terrifying wall. Everything in their path was obliterated, the earth shattered, building debris, soldiers' corpses, and mechanical life-form remains all whipped high into the air. This terrifying power could destroy an entire city in no time. Such was the dreadful might of nature. Zhiyu stood suspended in midair. Facing the relentless onslaught of tornadoes, her eyes remained utterly expressionless. She merely extended her left hand. That soft, slender palm seemed to contain boundless might. With a gentle push forward, break. An invisible force erupted, instantly tearing a massive hole through the tornado barrier. Several tornadoes were destroyed by the violent shift in air currents. The whirlwind storm swept past Zhiyu on both sides, causing her no harm whatsoever. But this time, Miter's expression finally shifted. "It's you!" She recognized the girl before her. For Zhiyu had demonstrated several entirely distinct abilities, and she knew only one person capable of such feats. The very same serial killer who had slaughtered numerous high-level mutant across the Wulwan Empire for days on end. Miter's gaze darkened with intensified loathing. She extended a finger, pointing distantly. The tornadoes that had been rampaging across the battlefield suddenly seemed to gain a will of their own, shifting course to crash violently toward Zhiyu. Chapter 22:14, Zhiyu vs. Miter 2. Boom! As if hundreds of spiral sword blades had formed a colossal meat grinder, it closed in to encircle Zhiyu, poised to shred her on the spot. It instantly magnified before her, nearly engulfing all space within her vision, nowhere to flee. Zhiyu remained utterly motionless. Yet moments later, an even more violent and terrifying gale erupted from within the meat grinder. The storm swept across the entire battlefield, instantly obliterating all tornadoes and surging unabated toward Miter's position. Miter narrowed her eyes. These winds could not breach the wind barrier before her. "You can command wind too?" Her storm power most disliked encountering others who could also master the wind. For wind was the movement of air, disrupting its flow with opposing currents would shatter it. Zhiyu remained silent, her right hand reshaping into a black spear. Witch's Spear, a materialized weapon of ultimate offensive power. Boom! The blinding speed triggered a sonic boom. Midair, Miter continued swinging her arms, unleashing gale-force winds that barricaded the space between them. But this time, Zhiyu had read Miter's attack. With a casual flick of her left hand, a massive transparent wall materialized before her. Absolute Air Nimbus. A barrier forged by sheer will to sever space, a formidable defensive capability. Miter's storm attack lacked the power to breach this barrier of absolute air nimbus, leaving her powerless as Zhiyu steadily closed the distance. The gap between them rapidly diminished, and soon Zhiyu charged within 30 meters of Miter once more. Her form streaked like a black lightning bolt, her silhouette elongated as if stretched, resembling a hunting panther. Or like a night demon reaping souls. Yet, just as she was about to close in on Miter, a mocking smile curled at the corner of Miter's lips. "Fool!" Her right hand shot skyward, then slammed down fiercely toward Zhiyu. Crack! A silver light suddenly sliced through the sky, as if splitting the vast darkness in two, streaking from northeast to southwest. That enormous silver thunderbolt transformed into a sword, plunging down from the heavens and enveloping Juyu. No matter how fast you are, can you outrun the thunder? Miter watched as the surging lightning engulfed Juyu. That primal force of nature, embodying the wrath of the heavens and the most fundamental reverence of sentient beings, violently consumed the black-clad girl. Juyu was too swift to evade this strike. Her body plummeted like a meteor, the thunder's force hurling her violently into the earth. Boom! The ground convulsed violently. The once level battlefield resembled a nuclear blast site, earth flying in all directions, leaving behind a colossal crater. Miter floated above the deep pit, a storm gathering in her left hand while her right glowed with lightning. You thought my power was storms? My apologies. My power is called Child of the Weather. All celestial phenomena are at my command. Wind, rain, lightning, thunder, nothing escapes my control. To die by my hand is to overestimate yourself. As she spoke, a sneer twisted her lips. You didn't seriously believe that lurking like a rat, secretly plotting evil within the Wulwan Empire, would leave you untouchable? In open combat, your true strength will be laid bare. Miter was utterly confident in the power of her strike. Even if it didn't kill this despicable black-clad human girl before her, it would certainly leave her gravely wounded. Miter's icy gaze swept across the entire battlefield. She resolved to eliminate the human girl first, then join the main battle to crush the human coalition forces. With the Wulwan Empire facing emergencies everywhere, she needed to maintain order and repel the formidable enemy. But just then, her communication device crackled with the furious, urgent voice of Commander Bang from the Eastern District Military Region. Our intelligence has been compromised. They know our capabilities inside out. Be careful. Miter froze. Their capabilities leaked? Did that mean everything she displayed was actually within the enemy's expectations? In that split second of shock, a black beam shot toward her like a spike erupting from the earth. Gritting her teeth, Miter snapped back to reality, raising her right hand high as she channeled thunderous power. Rumble! Celestial forces surged, gathering the sky's electrical energy into a massive silver thunder blade that crashed down upon the black gun. Rumble! The thunderbolt flashed, colliding violently with the black spear. The impact unleashed terrifying energy ripples, shattering both weapons into oblivion. Silver serpents danced wildly across the earth, plunging into distant cities. Countless lives were likely lost in the collateral damage of this single strike. Yet the instant this attack erupted, a silver lightning flash exploded behind Miter. Miter's eyes suddenly widened. A terrifying threat made every hair on her body stand on end. Ah! The thunderbolt slammed directly into her back, sending her flying backward. Physical combat wasn't her forte, so this single strike left her severely wounded. Though she hastily activated her wind barrier for protection, her back was still blasted open, leaving a gaping, bloody wound. She was utterly disheveled. Miter rode the wind to escape to a distance, her body trembling violently from the intense pain. She immediately injected herself with medication, her eyes fixed intently on the ground. From the billowing dust, Juyu emerged slowly. Yet compared to Miter's disheveled state, Juyu appeared completely unscathed. Just moments ago, as Miter triggered the thunder call to attack, Juyu had also unleashed a power of her own. The identical lightning strike had been concealed beneath Miter's own attack. That's why Miter hadn't noticed it at the time. By the moment she realized, it was already too late. You actually. Miter gritted her teeth, her once beautiful face now twisted into a hideous grimace. What she meant to say was that the other person could also command the power of thunder. Juyu tilted her head, watching her with a teasing expression. The strength of your ability lies in manipulating celestial phenomena, correct? Using the power of heaven and earth to slay your foes. But I have a question for you. How many types of celestial phenomena can you actually control? A few? Or dozens? Miter's eyes widened slowly. A terrible premonition suddenly gripped her.